Good morning, everybody. So a slightly different fact of the day today. We finished our 5 times tables. So just for today, we're going to have a little go at the 10 times tables. We don't need to spend ages on this because I think you are really good at it. But I just wanted to talk about place value. So when we have 2, for example, and we're timesing it by 10, we all know how to do that, don't we? We times the 2 by the 1, and we put the 0 on the end. But why do we do that? Why does 2 times 10 become 20? Let's have a look at it practically first. So we start with 2 and we want it to be 10 times bigger. So let's show how we do that. We want it to be 10 times bigger. So we're proving to ourselves that 2 times by 10 does equal 20. And as you know, I do have to count these out because sometimes I get muddled, don't I? Let's check that we've got 10 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've taken 2 and I've timesed it by 10. I've got 10 of them. How many altogether? Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So it does work. 2 times by 10 equals 20. But why? Okay. So we're going to have a little look at our place value. So when we start with our number 2, we have 2 ones. There they are, we have 2 ones. They are in the ones column. In fact, I'm going to switch that for some Dean's equipment. So there are my 2 ones. When I times that by 10, I'm taking each one of those and I'm swapping it for a 10, aren't I? I'm multiplying this one by 10 and I'm multiplying this one by 10, and of course I'm then getting rid of those. So that gives us 20. Of course they don't belong in the ones columns, do they? They belong in the tens columns. So I have now got 0 in my ones column, so let me get back to 0, and I've got 2 in the tens column. So we have moved on to 20, 2 tens. So I've taken 2, I've multiplied it by 10 to give me 20. So what I'm actually doing is I'm moving my 2 from the ones column to the tens column. I'm making it 10 times bigger. And every time I move along, I'm making it 10 times bigger. So if I had the number 20 and I wanted to times that by 10, I would take each of these tens and multiply it by 10 to make 100. And again, for this one, take the 10, multiply it by 10 to make another 100. So what I've actually got there now is 200. So again, I'm not putting a 0 on the end. I'm moving my 2 into the next column. Where is it? And so I'm shifting it along and I'm using the 0 as a placeholder. So 20, let me write that number sentence, 20 times 10 equals 200. I'm taking my 2 tens, I'm moving them along into 200s, which means I have an extra 0 which shifts my numbers along. It shifts them along my place value. And again, could you work this out? If I have 200 and I times it by 10, oh, I'm going to be moving into this empty column, aren't I? Let me see if I can do that. So by moving into this empty column, I've got, there we go. And obviously I need my 0 as a placeholder. So 200 times by 10 equals 2,000. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, just on your whiteboard, how many numbers can you multiply by 10? They don't have to be absolutely huge, but have a go at multiplying by 10. Should be really quick and snappy. Okay, so our main TLP for today is, can I solve a fractions problem? So over the last few days, we've thought a lot about fractions and numerators and denominators. Can we put that knowledge into practice to try and solve a problem? So here is a bowl of fruit, but the picture does not show the answer. Half the pieces of fruit in the bowl are apples. The remaining fruit in the bowl equals 3 oranges, 2 pears and a banana. How many apples are there in the bowl? Okay, have a little think for a minute about how you might solve that. Now, I always find it easiest when I have to solve a problem is to draw it. So I've even gone one better than that today, and I've actually got the fruit so we can have a look at it. Now, I always start with what we know. So if I move this down a bit, hopefully we can still see all of this. Yep, pop it there. Lovely. Okay, so I know that in the bowl there are 3 oranges. There's a banana and there are 2 pears, but that is only half the fruit in the bowl. The rest of the fruit, so I have tried to squidge it up so I've still got half the space left, are going to be apples. So how would you work that out? Maybe seeing it like this has made it a bit easier for you. This is half of the fruit. The other half is going to be filled with apples. So how many apples are there going to be? Basically, what we need to do is add up the number of pieces of fruit we've got on this side of our fruit bowl and make sure we've got the same number of apples on the other side of our fruit bowl. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we've got 6 other pieces of fruit, which means we should also have 6 apples. Let me get the apples. So here are my apples. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, am I going to be able to pile it on? 5 and 6. Okay, hopefully you can see all of those there. So it doesn't mean that it's the same size, but it's the same number of pieces of fruit. Half of the bowl is made up of apples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Half the bowl is made up of other fruit. 2 pears, 1, 2, 3 oranges, 1 banana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So another way that you could show this fraction was there are 12 pieces of fruit altogether. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 is our denominator. 6 twelfths are apples. And as you can easily see, 6 twelfths is the same as half because, of course, half of 12 is 6. So 6 twelfths are apples, which is the same as saying half of the fruit in the bowl are apples. Okay. So the next thing that the question asked you was to show how you worked it out. Now, it is absolutely fine in these situations to do exactly what I've done and draw it. So I might start with my plate, or my fruit bowl rather. I'm going to split it equally in half. So I know that half is going to be apples. I know that half is made up of the other fruits. So I'm going to use my pens to make my drawings clear, because you all know that art is not my strongest point. Right, there's my 2 pears. I'm copying it out from what's in front of me. I had 3 oranges, didn't I? Let's pop them up here. And then I had 1 yellow banana. So this lets me work out how many is in my half a fruit bowl. So I've got 6 pieces of fruit. Now, if I've got 6, if my numerator over here is 6, if I have 6 pieces on this half of the plate, I must also have 6 pieces on the other half. So if I had 6 pieces there, add them all together, that would be 12. It's the same as saying 6 times by 2 would be 12. So I'm going to get a slightly different green now, and I'm going to draw my apples. So these are the apples that match up with the oranges. These are the 2 apples that match up with the pears, and this is the apple that matches up with the banana. So I've got 6 on one side, 6 on the other side. Let me just check exactly what the question was. So the actual question was, how many apples are there in the bowl? So I can say there are 6 apples in the bowl. In the bowl. And I think that has very clearly shown my working out. Okay, I'm going to give you a question now. So your task for today is to answer these 2 questions. And please don't copy out the questions, but show your working out with pictures, words and fractions. Half of the pieces of fruit in the bowl are oranges. There are also 2 apples, 2 bananas and a pear. How many oranges are in the bowl? And then the second question, in a fruit bowl there are 14 pieces of fruit. Half are apples. What could be in the rest of the fruit bowl? Now there are lots and lots of answers to that one, but you have to make sure that the answer you choose is right, so you've got the right number of pieces of fruit. Okay, look forward to seeing those later. Okay, now if you whizzed through those and you would like an extra challenge, there is one more question. Now this one's a little more tricky. Look at it carefully and think about what you would have. Remember, you can still draw it out. In fact, I'd recommend it. If instead 1/4 were apples and 1/4 were oranges, and there were also 4 bananas, 3 pears and 3 plums, then how many would be apples? So now you're moving into quarters. Think about it carefully, draw it out. I wonder who can answer that later on our Zoom. Just an extra challenge.